Omni Sports Breakfast.
Good morning. It's your favorite show of the week, Mampara of the week. We bring you the crude, the bad, the stupid, and the downright ugly. Another week, another bunch of people in early running to be Mampara of the year. Never mind, just this week. Romney, welcome to your second show. Romy, I said Romy, did I get it right?
How much is it? 60? That's $80 now.
I said Romy, didn't I say Romy?
You owe me $80. Goeiemôre, hoe gaan dit?
Lekker dankie. How are you doing
good.
today?
I'm very good, thank you. But also not forgetting that we are interactive on our social media handles. Here they are. You can see Kevin McCullum's beautiful face on Facebook. Ooh. It's called Omni Audio. On X, it's Omni Audio Africa. Insta, Omni Audio Africa. TikTok, Omni Audio Africa. YouTube, Omni Audio Africa. So what did you get out of that? Pretty simple. On all the platforms, what is it? Omni Audio Africa. Let's get into the headlines.
And Omni's O-M-N-I. I used to spell it wrong when I started here. So I would say...
Romney, is that
it's
why?
Romney, that's probably why, because it should be romneyaudio.africa. Anyway, so we're going to start. Reza Hendricks scored 59 of 37 balls as MI Cape Town, or as MICT as they're now going to be called. They secured a 33-1 over the PAL Royals in the Betway SA20 at Newlands last night. Hendricks, who cost MICT 4 million rand in the 2024 auction, helped his side score 172 for 7. Player of the match, KG Rabada, took 2 wickets for no runs in just 2 overs, while spinner George Linder recorded his career best SA20 figures with 3 for 15 in 4 overs, as the home side restricted the visitors to just 139 for 9.
Well, also, it was announced yesterday that fast bowler Anrich Nokia was called up to South Africa's 15-man squad for the Champions Trophy in Pakistan next month. Now, Nokia, 31, has not played in a 50-over match. It's been a long time, September 2023, and that's when he suffered a stress fracture. He came back to be South Africa's most successful bowler in the T20 World Cup last June, but has not played an international match since the final in India in Barbados. Squad looks as follows. South African squad, we've got Temba Bavuma, Tony De Zorzi, Marco Jansen, Heinrich Klaassen, Keshav Maharaj, Aiden Markram, David Miller, Vian Mulder, Lungi Ngidi, Anrich Norkia, Gitse Rabada, Ryan Rickleton, Debray Shamsi, Tristan Stubbs, en Rassie van der Dussen, hy is intussen.
Yeah, and there's no George Coetzee, which is a bit sad for him. Apparently it was a toss-up between him and Norkia, and
Nokia got the nod.
I think they just want the pace. They just want the gas. So, good news for South Africa. Still, South African Henk Latergan of Toyota Gazoo Racing held on to his lead in the Dakar Rally after winning the 8th stage yesterday. The 30-year-old, who's in his 4th Dakar, won the 487-kilometre stage and extended his lead over Saudi Arabia's Yazid Raji to 5 minutes and 41 seconds. Now, this is a strange thing in motorsport, and I can't get over this. He was given a 2-minute penalty for speeding on a stage. I thought they're supposed to go quick, but maybe he was supposed to not to do it anyway.
Not to go so quick.
Too quick. A fellow South African, Guy Bottrell, was second, also in a Toyota Gazoo car. And there's some sad news for Geniel de Villiers. This is his 22nd and last Dakar, and he's had to withdraw.
I guess that speeding on the stage, going 2 minutes too fast there, falls within today's feature, which is Mampara.
Have they driven in Joburg?
Yeah. And just mind the potholes.
Yeah.
Well, Millwall dispatched National League Dagenham and Redbridge 3-0 thanks in part to Mihailo Ivanovic's unconventional finish to reach the FA Cup 4th round on Monday. Dagenham and Redbridge were the last remaining non-league side in the competition, but the 4-tier gulf between the teams showed at the Den. Ivanovic opened the scoring by heading in when the ball was on the floor after a goalmouth scramble.
And we look at the fires in LA at the moment, and obviously awful. I don't know how many houses have been destroyed now. I think there's 15 people have died so far.
24 and counting,
24.
actually.
Oh,
yeah.
God. I mean, it's become a political football now, which is ridiculous. Naomi Osaka, who's got a house in LA, she won her first round match at the Australian Open this week, just days after she'd sent someone to collect her daughter's birth certificate as the Los Angeles fires came close to her house. She said she was watching the fire map, and the fire's like 3 blocks from her house. She had someone to get her daughter's birth certificate and all of the other stuff that she needed, because she didn't know what would happen if that got burnt.
I love that. And it actually takes us back to a story that we're doing a little later in terms of Gabon and birth certificates. Naomi Osaka is sitting there thinking that if I lose this, just probably the PT in getting it again. I guess it's the same with like anything, your ID, driver's license. I mean, just think about the lines here.
Yeah.
Although I have to say it's getting better. But you don't want to lose those personal particulars because
it's a mission
once they're gone, they're gone.
It's like me, I went and had to get a passport. We were going to Mauritius, and mine had expired like 4 months before. 15 hours queuing over 2 days just to get in, and then another 10 hours queuing on 3 separate days just to pick it up.
My second last passport that I got, it took me longer to collect it than what it took me to kind of do all the paperwork to get it. I think I stood in the line for 4 hours and in the rain. I was not impressed.
I think there's an early day, there was a couple of Springboks who didn't know what a passport was. They couldn't use it. They said, no, but I've got an ID book, it's fine. And they thought that was enough to get overseas.
Wow, do you know that actually with footballers, especially the young emerging footballers who aren't playing for the bigger clubs but hoping to get there, it's something that they don't have. So the first call-up that I got to be Bafana's media officer, it was COSAFA. And obviously any of the, whether it's COSAFA, whether you're local or not, as a footballer, you need a passport. They don't use IDs.
Yeah.
You've got to recognize you based on passport. Doesn't matter if you're traveling or not. And it was actually quite phenomenal to see how many footballers do not have passports. And for me, it's like, it's such a simple thing to get. But then again, I've traveled my whole life long. You know, if it's the first thing my mom probably got us, it was a passport, even if we were crossing from South Africa into Namibia to stamp it, you know, then into Walvis Bay, which was still part of Namibia back in the day. But it was actually quite astonishing to see that, I mean, it's something that is foreign to them, yet it is something perhaps for me so simple to be able to get for you to now see yourself further in the sport.
No, exactly. It's just another tool.
Well, not sure if this shouldn't be in Mampara of the week, but former world heavyweight champion, this is Tyson Fury, he's announced his retirement from the sport again. This is his 4th retirement, and in a very cryptic 17-second Instagram video, this is what Fury said.
Hi everybody, I'm going to make this short and sweet. I'd like to announce my retirement from boxing. It's been a blast. I've loved every single minute of it, and I'm going to end with this. Dick Turpin wore a mask. God bless everybody. See you on the other side. Get up!
Dick Turpin wore a mask because Dick Turpin was the highway robber, wasn't he? The famous
think so, yes.
He was famous. Yeah, he's the so-called Gypsy King. But like I said, it's the 4th time. The last time he said, boxing is SHIT, I won't do it anymore, go suck a DICK. So he's not a very, he's a very different kid.
And I say this with all due respect, right? Having served for a few months on the boxing board here in South Africa, having hosted the TKO show and having chatted to boxers, there has to be a screw loose. You take so many hits to your head that somewhere, somehow, I think maybe the lights went off, you know, that he thinks maybe this is the first time. But you know who also retired and then came back was Andre Arendse back in 2013.
Of course,
He was the oldest footballer. I think he came out to help Wits when they played at the University of Pretoria. And he was 45 years old, 10 months and 4 days, making him the oldest ever footballer on the pitch. But shame. It was sort of like a forced come out of retirement.
Oh, God. But he doesn't look like he's still fit. He's
fit as
still
a fiddle,
skinny.
man. Yeah, he still looks very good. Very good.
Very excellent. He, like you said, he's done this. He's retired 4 times before. So Eddie Hearn, who is actually Joshua's promoter, and Joshua was being teed up to fight Fury, and Joshua's actually called him out, and he says he's not too sure this is not just a negotiating tactic. He was retired and said, I'll come out of retirement to fight you. That sort of thing. Let's see. I mean...
But why do you have to retire, come out, and then everybody's like, oh my gosh, you're back. It is also a bit of a PR stunt, you know, out and in and out and in. But, I mean, come on. Just fight why do you need to retire and come back?
I've got to find out the Dick Turpin thing, whatever that means. That's just bothered me. So, but yeah, let's get into... the Mampara of the week. We're going to start with a guy called Mac Hansen, and this is more about abuse of referees than anything else. So the Ireland and the Connacht winger, he loves to play, but he wears his heart in his sleeve. Handed a 6-week ban for his post-game rant after Connacht lost to Leinster in December. 3 of those weeks have been suspended, meaning he's available for Ireland's opening game in the Six Nations against England on February the 1st, which is pretty convenient. It should have ended there, but then there's an Ulster-born, Northern Ireland is Ulster-born referee Chris Busby. And just 3 hours after that ban, Busby announced he was going to retire from professional rugby after Sunday's Champions match. This is what Mac Hansen had to say about the game.
Say something real quick, Pete, about the situation. We never get any calls, ever. I've been feeling this for years now. Bunny gets a direct hit to the head. It's quite obvious. No call, doesn't care. I don't know if you can hear the frustration in my voice because it's starting at a point where it's honestly bullshit and it's starting to get really frustrating for us. I feel it's got to be spoken about now. Josh goes off with a direct hit to the head again. I was talking to Touchy, he goes, oh, well, when you're tackling, you lead with the head. What? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I think the Hansen incident was obviously the tipping point. There's a thing of referees, they've been abused, they've taken a bunch of nonsense as well, and BS, as Mac Hansen said. But there was a survey done by the Rugby Football Union in January this year, and almost 50% of match officials said they have been subjected to abuse in recent seasons. So Wayne Barnes, he did the World Cup finals. I think he's done 2 of them. And Tom Foley both cited abuse on social media as the reasons for stepping away. Can you imagine the kind of threats that they get? So dealing with threats like, I'm going to punch your lights out, I'm going to smash your car up. Match official abuse accounted for 18% of all cases last season. And the largest category of offences was for dissent, or 49% for around 1,200 officials surveyed. They said that had been abused in the previous season. Yeah, it's untenable. Russie was obviously very guilty of that against Barnes after we played for Ireland. I think we'd played France, and there was a bit of a dodgy call near the end with regards to a try. He retired because the online abuse he faced, and he said if people think that's acceptable to do it online and naturally spreads into real life, then that's probably the right term. People think it's okay to make a derogatory comment.
It's not okay. It's not okay. But also you have probably more balls when you're sitting behind your phone or your laptop doing it versus doing it face to face. But it doesn't mean that it's okay. And, I was also just taking a look at, especially here in South Africa, in terms of just cyberbullying and the threats people are getting online on a daily basis. And the NSPCC, it's an organization that basically just tracks cyberbullying and seeing what's happening out there. It says that in South Africa, 36 respondents were affected online by bullying in some way or form. And then they compared it to France, and 1 in 10 only in France have ever experienced something like it, where you're, being bullied for something or the other.
I've cut back a lot of social media.
So have I.
But Instagram, the early days of Twitter were wild.
I think Twitter was great when Twitter was Twitter.
Yeah.
When Twitter became X, I don't know.
It's become an online racist thing. But one good story out of this, so Wayne Barnes was talking to a podcast called Off the Ball, and he was talking about how he met Sia Khaleesi after that incident with Russie, and this is what Sia did with Wayne Barnes, and this is how it should be done.
Did Sia Khaleesi come to you to apologise after the Razzie Erasmus rants post the France game last year? Was that like a week afterwards? Did I see that in the book?
It was, I guess, the irony often kind of jumps out in these moments. So the week after I'd refereed South Africa versus France in Marseille, I was on the touchline for for Italy versus South Africa down in, I think it was down in Florence. And I was on touch for Matthew Carley. And so after the match, post-match, you spoke a little bit earlier about post-match kind of rituals and celebrations, but the Italian Federation put on drinks and kind of food reception and some speeches, and Sia, who I've got so much time and admiration for, found me out in the room, came over. We had a conversation, and he was you could see he was very concerned about the abuse that I'd had online over the last couple of weeks, and said that's not good enough, and he apologized, but I think that just showed the kind of man that he is.
Well, winning begins with what you eat. Boost your energy with AGT's Foods range of nutritious grains and legumes. Play better, live healthier. Brought to you by AGT Foods Africa. Good food, good health, good life.
Mikel Arteta. He's been blaming balls.
We're still Mamparaing.
Yeah,
right?
We're still Mamparaing. Sorry, it's still Mampara of the week. Sorry, I forgot about that.
So he partly blamed the Carabao Cup balls for Arsenal's wasteful shooting performance that was in their 2-0 defeat by Newcastle United, saying that they fly a lot.
I mean,
The balls fly a lot.
and it's the footballs, it's the soccer balls.
Oh, left and right, up and down. Okay, gotcha. Arsenal had 23 shots in the first leg of their semi-final on Tuesday, but only 3 of these were on target. Gabriel and Jorginho were among the Arsenal players responsible for the wayward efforts at goal, while Joe Linton and Sandro Tonali blazed over for Newcastle at the Emirates Stadium. Now, after the loss, Arteta said that the unusual trajectory, there we go, of the ball's flight contributed to the poor shooting, despite no other Carabao Cup match this season, leading to similar concerns being raised. Now, the Carabao Cup ball is manufactured by Puma, while Nike produced the Premier League equivalent. In the Champions League, Arsenal play with a ball made by Adidas. Clubs are provided with Carabao Cup balls for training before their fixtures in the competition, and the EFL is understood to be confident in Puma's record of producing quality balls.
Kicked a lot of the balls over the bar, and it's tricky that this ball flies a lot, and we discussed that as well. So there are details that we can do better, but at the end, that's gone. You know, this is no way back. It's about the next game, and that's our world. The reality is our world. You look at what the both teams produce and the domination of the game. Obviously, it's not the result that reflects the story of the game, but the reality is that they were super efficient with the chance that they had, and we weren't. And at this level, in these kind of scenarios, you need that to impose yourself and win the game.
You're not the first manager to mention ball in this competition. I know it's not an excuse, but what is the issue with it?
No, it's just different. It's just different, very different to a Premier League ball, and you have to adapt to that because it flies different. When you touch it, the grip is very different as well. So you adapt to that.
Yeah, very interesting indeed there with that one and Mikel Arteta's reaction.
Yeah. And the innuendo, God, there's some big words today.
Trajectory.
The innuendo around the balls is just, I mean, you could keep going forever. I've just told you a story about SABC's Janet Whitten. I think you may have worked with her.
Yes, I know.
And we were at the $1 Million Nedbank Golf Challenge one year, and it had been raining heavy, and the fairways were a bit muddy. So the players were allowed to pick up their balls and give them a wipe. You know, the caddy would give them a wipe, and they would place them down again. So she was on air doing a bulletin. I was sitting in front of her in the press box, and she said, the players are now allowed to lift and clean their balls. And I was finished. And all I heard behind me then was Janet trying not to giggle, but then she started giggling and she almost corpsed on air. Best thing ever.
I guess that's the long and short of that, right?
Yeah.
Let's
get over that, yeah.
Let's go to Gabon now. This one really baffles me, though, Kevin. I don't understand. And actually, when it happened, I was just like, I guess rules are made to be broken in probably every sport, but in football more so, because the South African women's under-17 team played Gabon, and this was in the 2025 FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup first leg qualifier on Saturday. However, it was called off before the start of the second half. How they made it to the second half, I want to know, as Gabon fielded only 10 players at the start of the match. Why are you starting with only 10 players? There's supposed to be 11. You're supposed to have reserves and a pool of 23 players all in all, sometimes 24, 25, depending. Now, Gabon lost their goalkeeper during the first half of the match due to injury, and they were reduced to 9 players, with South Africa going into the halftime break leading 12-1. Now, ahead of the second half, Gabon picked up more injuries in the match, and the commissioner was forced to make a call. But again, why does it get to that first, when obviously before everything, before the start of the 90, I mean, you know who is there. Yeah. So the Gabon national only had 6 players remaining to play the match at the time the call was made, and the SA head coach, Ntombifuthi Khumalo, was obviously not happy. I mean, you go there, you test yourself against a team, you prep, there's money, there's time, there's camps, there's so much that goes into it, even though her team scored those 12 goals. But I guess it's still pretty irrelevant. Yes, we're leading 12 goals. Yes, we're winning, but are we winning on merit? Yes. But
are those 12 goals in the league table or the pool table would have been vastly important.
And I mean, also, the competition rules stipulate, here we go, that players who are born between 1st Jan 2008, 31 December 2010 are eligible for the 2025 qualifiers, but some of the players Gabon brought to the game were born in 2011. Which is also outside the competition rules. I don't understand why everything always has to be a shambles, but this game should not have, in my opinion, and from the little that I know, should have gone along. There are also Law 3 in the FIFA laws of the game stipulates the following for a match to take place or continue. It says a match is played by 2 teams, each with a maximum of 11 players. One must be a goalkeeper. The match may not start or continue if either team has fewer than 7 players.
How is that even allowed at international level?
It shouldn't be.
International under 17. It should be if you don't have 11. If you don't have 11 plus 5 substitutes, then what's the point? And also, I mean, can Gabon not read a birth certificate? Do they need me to get Noam Osaka to give him a call?
Please.
It's ridiculous. It was a particularly African thing for a while, where people like Nigeria, Ivory Coast, they were fielding players that I remember TK, Thomas Konaite, he would say, he'd go to the trim and go, look, these kids have got moustaches and they're supposed to be under 16. So it's a bit dodgy. And it's happened at national level in South Africa as well. But Gabon, man, it's just, that's poor. I feel sorry for the women's team, the women under 17,
I do.
16-year-olds.
And also we're fighting for rights of women, right? Take a look at Afghanistan and cricket, and we're still waiting for the ICC to make some bold move or say something. But at the end of the day, when you push for the progression of women's sport, then let's push together as well. As women, I think we also need to pull our part. This is wrong, so why do it? Why also go on an international stage and make a fool of yourself in this way? And I think that's why it is Mampara of the Week, but it is something that can be avoided. And it's something that happens all the time, Kevin. I get so frustrated. Because
you've been in football, so you know.
Correct. We push. My daughter loves football. I tell her not to play, but anyway, we'll see where that goes. Because you want the world to look back, not make fools of African sports. You want some sort of level of discipline, some sort of level that we all operate in.
Yeah.
It can't just be, South Africa are winning, Malawi's winning, so-and-so's winning. We should all win together. So
everyone should have a chance.
Correct. So I'm really upset by this, and I don't even know why it should have gone ahead in the first place.
It's Sunday League football. It's Spaza Shop football, which is actually being played at Royal AM at the moment. I mean, Sean Mkhize. So
Mkhize.
Mm-hmm. So it's like Mkhize, Romy. I've got so much to practice. I must go home.
You've got homework.
Quincy, you're not allowed to laugh at me. It's your first time on the show. It's enough from you in the background there. So they've started closing in on the tax affairs of Mkhize.
You got it.
So white today. Obviously she's the big flamboyant boss. She owns Royal AM, but now with her son, Ndeli Mpitsane. So they started to resign as directors, and I think this is just a bit of a tax dodge. It's from last year. The records on the company's Intellectual Property Commission, the CIPC website, show that Mkhize and her son resigned as directors of PSL Club, Royal AM Football Club on 26 July last year. So the two have been directors of the club since it was started, 2019. Yeah, we are going to be doing a deeper dive into this on Friday.
No, we're not. But you do know that CIPC, they could have resigned long ago, and only on the 26th was it registered.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's also how CIPC works. It isn't actually the date that they would stamp it as your resignation. Oh. You could have resigned in the company long before CIPC then stamps and says.
Okay.
And that becomes the official date. I learned that the other day, actually, as I resigned from a company myself.
That's brilliant. So they've added this guy called Shamis Sadab as the sole director of the club now. City Press actually reported they couldn't establish any relationship between Mkhize and Sadab. See, I got some Mkhizes, right? But yeah, they haven't filed a return since 2022. And I'm sure that's against the PSL regulations.
It's against any rule or regulations because your tax needs to be done annually and there are deadlines for that. Again, something that really saddens me. There's a woman who comes out who owns a club. All the other women watch, obviously, because I'm sure there are others who want to do the same thing. And I mean, there were red flags. It was like players who win and then on the pitch you're being given a bonus, but in hard, cold cash. And I'm all for paying, yes, pay, but it didn't need to be done in that fashion. So I do think the red flags have been there. Again, it's really sad that it gets to this point now because what's happening? You've got a super fan that you poached from Orlando Pirates sitting, waiting. You have players, more importantly. This is their livelihood, right? Debit orders run. They don't wait for you, right? The money is not in the bank. If you do not have anything in your savings account, what do you do? Mm-hmm. So for me, it's about the livelihood at the end of the day. And just the state that these players probably find themselves in at the start of a new year. Kids need to go to school. It's the start of school tomorrow. It's school uniforms. It's bags. It's a lot of things if you just think about how you're supposed to keep your household going. Food on the table, if there's none of that. For me, that's the part that really gets to me.
Yeah.
And then something needs to be done in terms of just selling. Perhaps it all looked good at the sale when Royal AM came in. But I mean, again, the trajectory of, yes, perhaps the first 2 years are great and thereafter, where are you going to get the money to fuel a club? Is the grant that you get from the PSL enough? We know in the NFD it isn't. They barely get by with what it is that they have. You've got to travel. You've got to pay salaries. And I just think everything has come crashing down now. And it's really sad. Again, at the end of the day, for me, I more look from the livelihood point of view, where if people are hungry right now, this was not the best business decision.
Yeah, it's the flaw in the franchise system.
It is.
It's like owners buy clubs because it's like a hobby. And then if that hobby fails, and they just throw some more money and buy another franchise.
Yeah.
I'm still impossibly sad that Wits was sold off in their 99th year.
Yes.
I mean,
could they not just roll it to 100 and then
sell off.
do something?
You know, and that was Bidvest sold.
But I
it
do
off.
think there needs to be stricter measures. I mean, I don't know everything, but it was like, I think it was in a year where 4 franchises changed names. It was like a Royal AM that came and a Bloemfontein Celtic that disappeared, that had such a great stronghold in the Free State. And fans, I mean, if you go to...
What are the fans? The Matsari, no, what they're called? The Bloemfontein Celtic fans were called?
No, Matsatsanta Apitori is Supersport. Siwelele,
There we go. Best dancing fans. in South Africa.
Correct, with like choreographed moves
Yeah.
and everything.
No, they were
And
brilliant.
Boita was there with his shower cap. And now, what do we have?
Pah,
Sundowns Pirates.
Nothing.
Sundowns and Pirates, huh?
That's it.
Did we mention Chiefs?
No, not allowed to talk about Chiefs. We're only allowed to talk about Pirates, apparently. But anyway, a drum roll. You got a drum roll? Please have a drum roll. He's looking for a drum roll. And we said that the winner is football fans on social media. So Kai Havertz has shared abusive messages. His wife has shared abusive message she received on social media after Arsenal lost to United in the FA Cup on Sunday. Sophia Havertz said there were 2 posts on Instagram stories saying one person threatened to slaughter her unborn baby.
No, we don't go there.
Good Lord. I mean, for anybody, it's just shocking. It's absolutely disgraceful.
Craz.
Football fans are becoming mad. It happened to Wayne Barnes, that we spoke about earlier. It's happened to Bukayo Saka and Jude Bellingham after they missed penalties in the European Championship. And I mean, Carl Havertz missed his penalty in the 3rd round FA Cup game, but it's just an absolute disgrace. I mean, at the Women's World Cup in 2023, 20% of the players received discriminatory, abusive, threatening messages.
It's got to stop.
It has to stop.
It's got to stop. I mean, the racism on there, the slaughter your unborn baby, that's uncalled for. I mean, no. And also, if you had to ask the very people dishing it out if they would like to receive it, probably not.
No.
But you're bold behind your screens, wherever you are.
Well, we're here and we're going to be bold and we're going to stand up against it. We'll be back tomorrow. This has got to stop as well. This has been Mampara of the Week. Remy?
We've been Mampara Ring. Till
have
tomorrow.
indeed.
This is Omni Sport Africa.